Good evening and welcome back to Nosetools, where a forgotten beast named Necate Ilethitise has turned up. A huge slug composed of kaolinite. It has wings and it has a gaunt appearance. Beware its webs. But it has turned up in the lowest level of the caverns, which aren't actually connected to the fortress because I walled them off, because the moment I saw them I went, no, I'm not going in there, it's full of undead. Though the idea of an undead kaolinite forgotten beast is fairly horrifying. So yes, we're going to I think my plan with this forgotten beast is merely to ignore it, because that looks like being the best approach to the situation. I don't think it's actually going to trouble us, because I don't think it can get in, and while it's probably quite scary. Oh, where are you? Are you in the staircase? Right, it certainly shouldn't be the case that there's anyone. Oh, right, you're actually in there. Yes, of course. You're moving mine carts around. So yes, that's perfectly fine. I think that the forgotten beast should just be left to its own devices. Don't know. So. I do, though, have plans, which I kind of worked out over the past week, for somewhat improving the speed with which we load minecarts with magma. So now I need to explain them and work out how I actually implement them. What's that minecart made of? Made of tower cap. That's good. So a problem with our current system is that this stockpile here is fed by this stockpile here is fed by this stockpile here and feeds all of the stockpiles for emptying things, and so it's necessary to time things carefully to ensure that that the minecarts don't get dragged out while they're still empty. And I think we can fix this by cunning use of doors and track stops and other minecarts. And I think this is actually a fairly simple fix. So one part of the fix is to change the settings on here so that lead minecart we made can be added to this stockpile, because we're going to use that. So another part is to install a track stop, say here or here. Let's put it there because that's not actually in the way. So we'll remove the stockpile from there. Well, yes, it's not in the way of other things we might want to do. And build, construct, stop. Here, which should dump to the south. So the idea then is when something is put into the minecart, the lead minecart, which will be placed on this track stop, it will immediately be tipped off down the hole. Let's make it out of granite because we've got granite nearby. So then the other half of this is to arrange that we unload this this stockpile on the lower floor through a door, and we remove that ramp so that you can't actually get up. You can't actually get things out of it once they've been put in there. So we're going thus to need a magma safe door. At least I think a magma safe door will be the safest thing to build here. So let us nip up to here where we have a glass furnace and build a green glass portal, which is what a door made of glass is called. Oops, that was the wrong button. And there's portal appear on this list. Construct green glass portal, which is on D for door. Right. And then that will go here. We also want a lever which will disable the upstairs track stop. And that should then, that we will then connect to the track stop, which will mean that we can stop throwing things in later. Right, so that I think is, so the other thing I could do is to remove the wall down here, but let's not do that until we've actually got the door made and indeed brought down here. Let's build a tiny furniture stockpile that we'll put the door in while we're getting ready, so that we don't have to haul it down from upstairs. So make this a furniture stockpile that contains only doors, and contains only doors made of green glass. Right. So, yes, let's see where that forgotten beast has got to. It's just wandering around a bit, isn't it? Yes. Well, that's fine. I think it should be perfectly safe. Or rather, it may not be perfectly safe. There may be other horrifying things down there. So, do we have someone who knows how to do glass making, or am I going to have to assign more glass makers? I have a feeling we may have at most one glass maker at the moment. Right. I don't know, we've got too many poets. Yes. If I can remember where it is it under crafts? Yes. I'm sure you'll learn and won't, like, burn off your hands. Yes, so Jacob asks, it's not one that can bash through walls, is it? I think Forgotten Beasts can never get, nothing indeed, can get through a wall as a wall. And so as long as we have actually made walls everywhere, we will be fine.
That means nothing except a dwarf.
Yes, yes. Nothing except a human-controlled dwarf can get through a wall. Yet. There will probably at some point be a Dwarf Fortress version in which the invaders turn up with picks, and then we will be in people knows people blows.
That's what you know. You can choose your Nosetools and you can choose your pick, but you can't. Hang on.
Right, so we have on the other hand got a minecart there, so let's keep using the old system while we're waiting.
So I asked the brief vote on
So yes,
whether it should be a thingy or a whatnot.
thing has wandered off already.
It should definitely be a whatnot.
We'll try.
So you should a whatnot one.
So what's the surface undead looking like? 2 rhinoceros corpses. We are still scared of rhinoceros corpses. They kill people quite efficiently, so I'm not going to go out there. Right, our elven poet has now started their glassmaking apprenticeship, which involves turning up in the glassmaker's workshop and going, how does all this stuff work then? And trying not to set themselves on fire with magma. Novice at quite a lot of things, none of them yet glassmaking. Well, you'll soon learn. I mean, also a grandmaster poet, but like, what's the use of that?
I'm just trying to remember, what is the melting point of glass as compared to the temperature of magma?
I think in Dwarf Fortress higher, but so the melting point of glass is 13,600 degrees Eurist. Magma is naturally at... Where does this tell me the temperature then? At 12,000 degrees Eurist.
Right, so
This doesn't help you very much when you don't know what a degree Eurist is, but they go in the obvious direction at least.
right. The point is you can't use magma as a means of melting the stuff you're going to make into glass.
Well, rather bizarrely, yes, you can. I mean, that's not completely mad in that, for instance, you can make steel without the ability to heat things above the melting point of iron. You just make sure your ore is ground up finely, and then you essentially end up with a kind of slightly squishy, porous mass of iron, which you then bash with a hammer until it's less porous. No, never at any point actually melting it, you merely soften it. So, like, this is perfectly reasonable. Well, kind of reasonable. I don't know if it works with glass as well, but basically the essence of blacksmithing is heating iron up to the point where it doesn't melt, but it becomes a bit squishy, and then whacking it with a hammer while it's still squishy. So yes, that's all going on. Once that portal has been brought down here, then we'll get on with the next stages. Right, so that's the... Go on, are you not... Oops. I really need to make some more Marks Dwarves. Apparently being a Marks Dwarf is quite fatal in my fortress. Yeah, kill that naked mole dog, but like we really need to reorganise you lot. So yes, maybe we should yeah, curiously, when you've got a swordsman next to your naked mole dog, it's probably not going to last long. Though, admittedly, it appears to be being killed by the elite Marks Dwarf whom I sent to kill it, wrestling it. Yes. But, well, so be it. So did I have a plan? I'm just trying to remember what other stupid plans I had. There's one stupid plan I had was that I should obviously install, rather than having a green glass floor plate grate there stopping things growing in the sand pit, I should put our artifact grate in there. Right, and there goes our green glass portal on its journey to the cellars. Because yes, since we own an artifact grate, we should put it somewhere where people might see it. It's an artifact, but not magma safe grate. So there are it can only really be used for filtering water or stopping things. Stopping things growing in our sand pit. Oh, okay. I thought we had an artifact grate. Where's it gone? Z stocks. Am I going to be embarrassed and turn out not to have an artifact grate after all? Oh yes, we have. It's just... Oh, Oh, that's the up. Why is it there? Oh, someone was using this as a weapon, weren't they? Yes. So that's the upper caverns, isn't it? Yes, we can access the upper caverns. Is there anything very dangerous in the upper caverns? Okay, there seem to be a bunch of animals in the upper caverns. Maybe we can get there anyway. Right. No, not that one. Let's just try unforbidding it and seeing if we can install it then. Right. I mean, maybe a human bone grate will cause people to be a bit weird, but... Right. Oh, we're short of cages. Well, you can make cages out of glass, can't you?
And nothing will go wrong when it drops on someone.
I don't know, let's find out. Let's make 4 green glass terrariums. Terraria. Right. Right, the door has been almost delivered. We can now stop pumping magma there. We should make sure we don't try to remove those walls until we've drained the magma out of that area. What is the lead thing down here now? Steel minecart, steel minecart, steel minecart. That's nice. Where has my... Yeah, where I thought I had a lead minecart somewhere. Has it accidentally ended up assigned to some other job because I'm not paying adequate attention? Minecart, tools, minecart. Lead minecart. So it's there. Is someone encrusting it with jewels? No, they're encrusting something else with jewels. The lead minecart is already decorated. Yes, our lead minecart is encrusted with olive honey yellow beryl cabochons and menaces with spikes of tanzanite because we left it lying around near the jeweller's workshop. Right, well, that nonetheless ought to be... Someone ought to be trying to bring that down here, really. So anyway, we're waiting for the upper pump to be started now because currently our loading area is actually full of magma. While we're here though, let's connect that lever to our newly built track stop. Let's just install a couple of fairly ordinary limestone mechanisms. Now I need to wait for the magma to be drained. Aha! The Forgotten Beast has found a target. Or rather, it has found itself a victim of a hungry head, which seems kind of silly because one might have thought that the hungry head might like to eat something other than kaolinite. It's a cavern-dwelling creature. No, it could be. It's possible, yes.
On the other hand, presumably if it's a head, it has brain rate, and therefore might
hand hold another hand on.
might reasonably, be able to think about what it does or doesn't want to eat.
Yes, a fearsome long-toothed mouth the size of a man's head flying on bat wings. It is found in deep caves.
Deep cave for that. That's true.
So yes, apparently it's busy fracturing the kaolinite forgotten beast, which is nice, I think. Happily, the lead minecart only has to make one trip, and it'll do that in a wheelbarrow. Right, we can now shut down that pump. We just need someone to actually go and fetch the lead minecart. And indeed, someone is going to do that. So the other end of the magma plan is to somehow actually arrange that we can flood the pit fast enough that the magma doesn't just evaporate. And I have a plan for that. And the plan is essentially to build a reservoir at the top of the pit and then fill that with magma, gradually enlarging it as we go so that we don't get evaporation problems, and then dump the whole lot down into the pit all at once, or more or less all at once, in order to flood it fast and stop the magma evaporating too quickly. So that requires that we do some mucking around up here. So what we want to do here is to remove this track stop that currently dumps straight into the pit and start digging ourselves some space that will become our magma reservoir. Oops, what on earth button did I press there? Right. So what are we doing down here? Down here we're still waiting for the lead minecart to be delivered. Well, we kind of are. Actually, we can go... Let's start removing that wall so that we can replace it with a door. Pink Beast, no, they don't have to push the lead minecart uphill. The lead minecart just has to come downhill. And then it just stays down here, stationary, attached to the track stop, and never moves again. At least that's the idea. So if we make that track stop dump to the west, then that should once the next magma gets delivered up here, start filling up that reservoir. maybe this person pushing a minecart is bringing a lead, pushing a wheelbarrow is bringing a lead minecart. Yes, right, we have a lead minecart. So what we want to do now is to create a new hauling route. Which will have a single stop here, which will be configured to which will have the lead minecart assigned to it, and which will be defined to have no conditions. No, not that one. Remove condition, remove condition, but have a stockpile link from there. No, that's the wrong button, but still I also need to use it to take furniture of type minecart, oops, of material iron or steel. So what that will mean is that when there is a minecart at that stop, which is the only stop on the hauling route, dwarves will load it with minecarts from the from that stockpile, which will immediately hurl themselves into the will immediately get hurled down into the loading area. Right, and that minecart has now been lugged to the correct location. We're still working on the rather slow process of taking down this wall. What do you want now? My Baroness has demanded that there be a brass, we got some brass, a brass armour stand in her dining room. Right. We don't have any brass. How do you make brass then? Now, don't look that up on Wikipedia, that will not help you. Look it up on the Dwarf Fortress wiki. No. Brass. Brass is an alloy of zinc and copper. That's nice, we have no zinc. Right, well, you can want a brass armour stand all you want, but we have no zinc, and therefore we cannot make one, I think. I suppose we might have some objects made of zinc, but it seems fairly unlikely. Cages, maybe? Oh, we've got some zinc cages. Right, okay.
You could put a stone in some water, because that would make it zinc.
Thank you, Gareth. Yes, so we have a small number of zinc cages. So let's see why I can't mark them for melting. Right, that one's loaded into that cage trap, is it? How do I remove a cage from a cage trap without the cage trap firing?
Is that a trap for cages?
No, it's a trap that uses a cage. Yes. Well, no. Okay, it looks like there are no terrifying things on the surface now. So I shall do the usual thing of actually unlocking the front door so that people can go out and retrieve things as seems appropriate. And shall wonder how I how I remove that cage in a bit. Right, so now down here we can install the portal that will stop the magma leaking out. So down there we currently have... Alright, I should unforbid that minecart. A minecart full of magma which can be hauled off when someone's ready. Right, we now discover all the dead people on the surface because, well, it's what happens up there. This is why we don't go there. I think that's just a change of role when they go to and from being. Well, shall I make more Mark Dwarves then?
I think you're currently breaking even on Mark Dwarf. You're down one Spear Dwarf.
Because we like have a problem that the Rams of Clasping has almost no members left. See if there's anyone who knows what to do with a crossbow and isn't already a member. Yeah, you can be a member. And you. We might try to find some bows. And you. And you. It's a good job these poets have helpful military skills. Would take bow dwarves, but then we'd have to find some bows rather than crossbows. Why are you not in the squad? You're an expert Mark Dwarf. I mean, admittedly, the place for them to practice is not currently accessible because I'm planning to flood it with magma.
I don't know, these ambitious public works projects.
Should just check whether we've run out of coffins yet. Yeah, not quite, but I think we might need some more. Well, I just let everyone out onto the surface because it was temporarily not full of zombie rhinoceroses. Well, no, it's not. But now they're finding all the people who were killed by the zombie rhinoceroses that were there before.
Oh, I see. Right, your population is not currently decreasing.
No, this is us finding all of the dead bodies that the zombie rhinoceroses left on the surface. I think. I mean, I could be wrong. Maybe they are all being slaughtered. Let's just check. But no, that doesn't look like a large number of people succumbing to zombie rhinoceroses. The major thing is that the Forgotten Beast is busy killing hungry heads. The child is apparently busy getting into a fight with a naked Moldog for reasons. So here we can see these bright green double exclamation marks, which are the new terraria. So it's nice to see that those are being made.
The areas of the more neat.
Yes. Let us meanwhile install some more coffins because we're probably going to need them. Right. That should help with having somewhere to put all of our all the dead people we find on the surface. Okay, here's a slightly silly problem. So we have the slight problem that I've dug this hole to be filled with magma, and it's accidentally ended up being part of the rubbish dump because it's adjacent to a rubbish dump tile. This is not a serious problem. It just means that at some point someone's going to dump magma in it, and there will be an enormous cloud of smoke. Right, that door has been installed, so we can remove the stockpile we used to install it. So now I think we can also remove that ramp there. The point of that is that then it stops people being able to get into that stockpile from above. I think I did designate it, didn't I? Let's just do it again just to be on the safe side. Oh, it's a constructed ramp, isn't it? So I need to do DN. Remove construction, that's better. It is a rough granite block upward slope. That's nice.
Is that all magma?
Yes, that's the magma sea.
Right, yes.
Which is down below our...
What are the seas in the magma sea?
Those are magma crabs.
Okay. Obviously, what are the X's in
Small
the magma sea?
rock-eating creatures that live in molten rock.
Right, and the X's in there?
That's my cursor.
That's your cursor, right, okay, okay.
That's nothing to worry about. I mean, the magma crabs are not much to worry about because they can't get out of the magma sea.
Do they have lava as their children or not? No.
Thank you. I don't know.
So magma crab lava would be intriguing.
Magma crablets? I don't know.
I think they may...
Is that crab which is puffing smoke up the top?
yes.
So huge.
Do we have in here what its children are called? Don't think it has special names for its children, so they're probably, if they exist at all, known as magma crab children. Sorry.
Body part.
What's on them now?
Is that what your cursor's on currently? No, I think
That was the end of a message.
magma connect. It's true.
Actually, let us operate this lever. Oh yes, I should also now configure this thing, this stockpile, to not take from anywhere.
The magma terror. That's what it should be. Giant crabs.
That one takes from anywhere and doesn't give or take, but actually gives to that minecart. Well, I mean, the poets are turning out to be a reasonable source of new citizens. Right, we have most of these. Right, so now we have that first bit of magma that will eventually be used for flooding the pit installed. What I've realised is I should, of course, install, no, not a hatch cover, a grating, I hope this will work, over that. So that will tend to stop people throwing things into the magma. Because while they do that, they cause an awful lot of smoke. And if they throw something big enough in there, then something really exciting is going to happen as they splash magma all over the place. I mean, teeth are surprisingly flammable here, it seems.
Oh, that's why dentist surgeries have a notice on the door saying fire drill.
Thank you.
Terrible teeth.
I mean, at least if you hurl them into magma, they catch fire.
Yes, but if you hold quite a lot of things into magma, they catch fire.
True.
Quite a lot of things,
I mean, the smoke will clear eventually once yes, all the teeth have gone now, so I think the smoke should now be clearing, and then someone will arrange things so that we don't keep hurling. Someone hurls something else into another tooth into the smoke, into the magma. I'm feeling generous to bards today. I wasn't going to export any ballista arrows. I wasn't planning to make any ballista arrows.
He's got fidgeting stiff.
I forgot to read that petition before I accepted it. I hope it was a good one.
Here.
Someone install that grating before the dwarves set fire to anything else. Right. Right, that should stop things being hurled into the that should stop things being hurled into the magma when I don't actually want them to be hurled into the magma. Now, what's going on down here? How are we doing? Don't leave the granite there. That's not going to help. Right, well, I mean, this is very silly. Actually, is there a sensible thing I can do with that granite?
I read the index of it before, and it said, please can you increase the price of the cycle by 1 penny? So two extra offers, but the fight could say £10 or more, and he couldn't find them £10. And he said, okay. And so it cost me £5 rather than £9.
Let's make a small stone stockpile here. Actually, let's make the small stone stockpile somewhere slightly different.
Once tempted to ask work for something like 13 pence per year pay cut. You know, what you would need for taxation? No, it would have made my salary 33333.33. I remember one time when I was first getting the account of the child,
Settings.
I put £173.22 into my account to make it 80 daily.
So let's forbid everything except granite here, and then that will get at least some of the granite cleared out of the way. In particular, the granite that is sitting in the doorway that would otherwise allow me to fill minecarts with magma. So why is there no... Oh, because I'm an idiot. I did this last time, didn't I? I screwed up. I got confused by how the hauling routes work. I need to actually take from select a stockpile, which you do by going to the correct stockpile and pressing P. Right, that would be better. Right, so now there should be at least one store item in vehicle job. Seemed to be one, curiously. Maybe it'll take a little while to organise itself. Also, everyone is trying to move granite around. If I'm lucky, they'll move the correct granite around. Okay, now you're going to fetch more mine carts. Oh, store item in vehicle jobs. Excellent. Right, but because that lever is currently turned off, nothing. So the current situation is that people are loading minecarts into the lead minecart, which now contains an iron minecart, but not. But they're staying in the lead minecart because we're waiting for someone to move move the granite out of the doorway. Unfortunately, people are bringing all the wrong granite in. Maybe I should have forbidden every lump of granite apart from the piece of lump of granite I wanted moved. Maybe I should forbid all the lumps of granite apart from the lump of granite I want moved. Said stocks.
I've got one thing to say, and it's damn it.
Granite. Thank you. Yes. Stones. Granite. Forbid all the granite. Right. Oh, apart from
This particular.
that piece of granite.
I'm forbid this granite in particular.
Right. Now someone come and move that granite for me. But yes, now I have a minecart full of minecarts. Well, not full. A lead minecart containing an iron minecart and 3 steel minecarts. The lead minecart is, of course, decorated because all the best minecarts are decorated.
Sleepy, if I read that as granite being composed of fold, spindle and mutilate.
Well, Jacob, I can assure you that the next county over, they also taught us that granite was composed of quartz, feldspar, and mica, and that the feldspar breaks down into kaolin, which is where the China clay industry comes from.
Well, I'm not sure I've heard of feldspar. I thought mica what you make workshops out of, so therefore I don't know.
Yes, okay, so apparently if you get as far east as Portsmouth, they don't teach you that granite is made after quartz, feldspar, and mica. Probably not on its own.
Okay. Is it 4 mica? What's 4?
Yes,
4 mica.
yes, that's the stuff that our work surfaces are made of.
I think that's different.
Yes,
Like metabolite.
yes, that's formic. Yes, I think. Well, I'm not sure directly, but I think it's made of something that relates to I think formic compounds, but I don't know. That's organic chemistry. Right. Anyway, so how's our briefly stop? Oh, right. Someone has moved the granite. Excellent. Right. So now, if I lock that door, we can then be fairly confident that no one's going to accidentally walk through it and let the no one is going to accidentally walk through it and let all of the magma out, and B, no one is going to go in there and take the empty minecarts before we fill them with magma. So let's pull that lever.
You mentioned metals are excellent. I just put reading up on kaolin. Apparently there is a thing called metal kaolin. Kaolin monks, actually. That's covered that from about martial arts.
What are you doing? Oh, you're loading up another minecart, right? Anyone want to pull the lever? Go on, come and pull the lever. There's a lever right here that wants you to pull it.
There is, of course, a memory song which refers to part of Scotland as Kingdom of Gabbro, which could be a music genre, therefore.
Let's also ask for that pump to be started. That's nice. Oh yes, I was going to set to work on. No, actually, we won't do that for now. I would like. I think at some point I should build some. We should build some display cases. So let's check how deep that is. That's still at 2, which is as we expected. Good. So then, right, we're waiting for someone to come and pull the lever, I think, primarily. We should probably unforbid all that. We should unforbid all that granite again, because we'll probably have a use for it. And we should remove that stockpile because it isn't very useful. Its only purpose was to get that one lump of granite out of the way. Right. How's our Forgotten Beast Kaelinite Forgotten Beast doing against these hungry heads? It seems to be doing a pretty good job of killing them. You can see, yes, some dead hungry heads over here. Kind of. Oh, what? Oh no, that's web, and lots of Forgotten Beast web, where the Forgotten Beast has ensnared hungry heads before killing them. Are you coming to pull the lever? Yes! Excellent. Right, so when this lever is pulled, my hope is that that will cause this minecart full of minecarts to discharge all of its minecarts over the edge.
Including itself?
No. All of its minecarts, but not itself, because it's made of lead and it'll melt if we put it in magma. Plonk! There we go. Right, how many minecarts? Right, oh, right, okay, that's interesting. I did see this in the wiki and wonder if it actually worked, which is this weird thing that minecarts end up piled on top of other minecarts, rather than actually ending up in the right place. Well, let's not worry about that. Let's see what happens when we fill things with magma.
That's been entrapped as spirit, that is.
Here comes someone to operate the pump. Well, I mean, there is the rather entertaining thing that it looks like someone has been tasked to remove those minecarts from where they currently are. Right, well, the pump's working. What's going on here then? And that square is full, and that's full of magma. And these minecarts are all empty. Okay. Let's stop operating that pump and start operating that pump. And let's just see what happens here. I think actually what I want to do... Please come back and operate the other pump. Thank you. Right. So, and now that square has nothing in it except for one rather inconvenient number of steel minecarts. But it looks like quantum stockpiling minecarts may be quite difficult. Wonder if there's a way I can fix that. By putting in a... Yes, the problem is if I put in... Yeah, this might work. Let's... Oh, that might work, yes. Let us install... Let us make first... We'll keep this system going because it's not a disaster, but let's make a grate. Let's make a couple of grates because... What? No, that's a hatch cover. That's not very helpful. No, that's not what I meant at all. Right, let's try this again. Add task. Make green glass. Is that a grate? Yes, it's on L. Why is it? What? Why is it on L? Make a couple of grates. So Yes, and unlock that door because it's perfectly reasonable to remove that minecart now. Stop pumping. But what I actually want is to make it quicker to remove these minecarts down here. So I'm going to allocate the whole of this floor as a furniture stockpile. With the usual settings. So forbid everything other than minecarts in iron and steel, and only take from links, take from that stockpile, and then this stockpile will be reconfigured to take from that one. The idea of that being that then we dwarves can rapidly unload the minecarts from there without needing to haul them all the way up to the surface, and perhaps more importantly, without needing to haul a wheelbarrow all the way down from near surface. Right. So now just kind of waiting for something to happen. And then I think my plan is to try to get this... that's probably not going to work either, is it? Yes, this minecarts piling up on top of other minecarts is really rather inconvenient. Yes, I mean, obviously it's slightly silly putting minecarts in minecarts, but let's see what happens when someone removes the bottom minecart. Maybe things will get better then. We should actually turn off the track stop so that we don't... No, actually it's fine for it to be on at the moment. I must learn not to do that. But house, we should mark all of these for burial before we have too many corpses lying around. What rubbish do we have here then?
Oh, Ben, you
Teeth.
told people that you found your umbrella.
I can't remember if they think I've lost it.
You mentioned it, I think.
Yes, Gareth reminds me that that I had thought for like about a year and a half that I had left my umbrella in my office, and had been thinking I should really go back there at some point and get my umbrella, because like it's quite awkward being caught out in the rain without one. But then I went back to the office and couldn't find my umbrella there, and was very confused by this, and thought maybe had someone moved it? Had I left it somewhere I didn't remember? Had I collected it at some point? And I discovered earlier this week, when getting a jacket off our coat rack, that actually my umbrella had been hanging on the coat rack the entire time. So there. Right, we should forbid that door because there's nothing good on the other side of it. My office does not have a bath, Jacob. Right, there is a shower elsewhere in the building. Right, so now what does that square contain?
Someone keeps moving my armchair.
So yes, yes, okay. And then when you remove one minecart from the lower cell, you get. Okay, is that one accidentally empty? Okay, we've accidentally got an empty minecart doing the rounds because I still haven't quite got the controls for this working. Yes, the Pink Beast, that was a different umbrella that I left on a bus in Rotterdam.
This is one umbrella that goes backwards and forwards for all time and space.
No, that one was black and this one's grey.
Oh,
No, it's not. Anyway, we should now start that pump as well.
they would have if they'd known, Jacob. I still want to know if you had proven they all fell on his head.
Who are you and where are you going? Oh, right, you've decided to construct a coffin out of granite and are thus hauling the granite up from down here, you weirdo. I mean, like, I don't mind. We've got plenty of coffins. I think we've got more coffins than we need even now. Yeah. And our ludicrous stock of skulls is gradually going down as we turn them into more useful things. Well, okay, into totems, which are not very useful. No. Actually, we should construct a couple more cage traps to catch anything that comes to life in the in this area. What's that cage got in it? It's a goose. Oh, it's a zinc cage. Right, melt. We should probably let the goose out of it first, shouldn't we?
Oh!
Oh, it appears to have an undead goose. Right. Hello, undead goose in a cage. Undead goose, you're going in the pit. Yes, I appreciate you were once someone's pet, but you are now a zombie goose.
Yeah, but are you sure they don't want a zombie goose as a pet?
Yes.
Oh.
Right. Oh, God, someone is being chased by the zombie goose.
It is a lovely day in the fortress.
And you?
And you are a zombie
horrible
goose.
Honk, honk, honk.
Damn it, why couldn't you actually throw the blasted thing in the pit rather than trying to do this from the wrong side and getting chased by the thing?
Honk.
I mean, at least we've got that spare zinc cage now. Let's mark that zinc cage for melting because we need some zinc. Meanwhile, I think zombie creatures don't pick stuff up and carry it around. I think creative entries, come and kill the zombie goose. Excuse me, what just happened? Nothing as far as I can see. What is that? Right. Right, that's dealt with that. Good. Where's the zombie goose's combat then? Because it's clearly been dealt with. What was its name? Tossid Olinod. Oh, the Tossin Olinod's corpse. Yes. So, curiously, someone with a sword is reasonably capable. Someone with a sword wearing metal armour is reasonably capable of disposing of a zombie goose, I'm afraid. And has indeed vigorously beheaded said zombie goose, whose corpse should probably now be disposed of, unless it's going to get butchered. Just to be on the safe side, let us hurl the whole thing into the pit. Right, meanwhile, okay, that cage is getting moved to a stockpile.
I'm a fool, because guess which end of this tall rucksack my umbrella is at?
Right, the remains of the zombie goose have now been hurled into the pit. And there is our human bone floor grate, which is... Yeah, right, so now we need to do something about making... about fetching sand for our glass furnace. So there's this rather awkward thing that fetching sand, actually for now, that fetching sand ties up a glass furnace, but it doesn't actually use any fuel, so it seems a bit silly to use our magma glass furnace for this purpose. So I think I should just find a space big enough to build a glass furnace, say down here where we have these rooms that we're not using anymore, and construct a pointless glass furnace.
Good night, all.
Good night. Right, meanwhile we filled up another minecart. So we should stop operating that pump, start operating that pump. Where are you going with that minecart? Exactly. We may have a slight sequencing problem here. I mean, like, where actually are you going with that minecart? We're going to furniture stockpile 32. Which is that one, which is meant to have wheelbarrows assigned to it. Has it somehow lost its steel wheelbarrow? The wheelbarrow assignments seem to be a little delicate. Now, there are 2 steel wheelbarrows assigned to stockpile 32. Why are you fetching something without using one of them? You stoat. I mean, there's a small danger you're going to catch fire if you keep doing this. I mean, you'll probably be alright, because I think you'll keep moving fast enough, but... Indeed, where are those wheelbarrows? Are they actually up here, or have they wandered off somewhere? See, there's even... Look, one of them is right here. No one is even using it. Bah. Oh well. You'll turn up here eventually. Meanwhile, we have that minecart which is full, that minecart which is currently empty, slightly confusingly. That square is still full of magma. We're waiting for someone to come and operate the upper pump. Right. Is there anyone assigned to that job? If not, then I will assign more people to the job of pump operators. Someone is assigned to the job of operating a pump. Good. Indeed, they've just arrived. Excellent. Right, you can now stop operating that pump. And we'll unlock that door. So all being well, you will realise that you are the nearest person who can... Someone should be moving that minecart, really, since we've unlocked the door. And since that gives to furniture stockpile 40, let's give that a name. Why is no one moving that minecart? All right, good, sorted. Someone now has the job of moving that minecart. Someone else is going to fetch some empty... It's not made of lead, it's made of steel and it's full of magma. Right, now we can lock the door and start the lower pump. Right, and now we can stop the lower pump and start the upper pump. Right, oh no, we still have the export prohibition on the export of ballista arrows. And now we can check that that's not flooded anymore. Oh, we managed to get 2 minecarts in here, both of them full of magma. Excellent. And now we can stop the upper pump and unlock the door again. And we can also operate that lever. Oops. Actually, we should probably have done that in a different order. No, that's probably safe. And now we have 3 minecarts full of magma. That's not the most sensible square of that stockpile to put that minecart in, you know. So now that's lots and lots of magma indeed. That's so much magma that I'm going to have to be a bit careful about how it arrives upstairs so that we don't accidentally flood things with magma. Right, so that's 3 minecarts full of magma down here, plus 2 units of magma upstairs already, which makes a total of 8, which will overfill 1 square. So to be on the safe side, we'd probably better be thinking about digging out that next square quite soon. Oh, and there's one in the post as well, isn't there? Yes. So let us see what happens. It's doing that weird thing where the keyboard stops working briefly. Appear to have a copper cage containing a tame stray guinea cock. Well, how is that helpful? No, wrong button. That's what I want. No. Trying to tidy things up a bit here. How can there be a task for that? You can't get to it. Oh, right, that door's still unlocked. Let's lock that door. At least I think I should. Oh no, that's still got magma in. Stoats! Come back, come back! I didn't mean for you to run away. Come and move that minecart. You've come all the way down here and then I locked you out because I was confused. One of the kittens has adopted a one of my dwarves. Excellent. How's the magma coming? Right. So we now have 4/7 of magma in that square, which means we can safely channel away one of the adjacent squares. Ooh, you have a secretive dwarven child. As long as you don't want zinc. P.S. How are we doing? Have we got any zinc yet? Nah, that cage wasn't enough to give us an entire bar of zinc, sadly. That cage is made of zinc, though. And its contents have been trained, so let's release that rat so that we can remove the building and make sure it's marked for melting. On stop removal. because I don't think we can. I think we have to do this in order. The assignment is still there. Good. I wish I knew what to do about that. I need to make some clear glass so I can make some display cabinets. I mean, technically you can make display cabinets out of green glass, but that's obviously wrong. But we need a kiln for that, don't we? Okay, we'll leave that for now. Right. I've forgotten what I was doing. Sure, it doesn't matter. Oh yes, I was trying to tidy up. Right, what are you doing in the Craft Force workshop? Which one have you seized? That one. Cut gems, bones, wood, cloth, blocks, quarry, leather. Right, well, I think that should be fine. Yes, you don't even want metal, so my I think we may have a slight problem with the way that I've configured this. Let's remove my silly requirement that no one can use that thing for now. We'll tidy up Craft Force workshops later, I think. Right, so now we've channeled out some extra space, so now we have 2 squares each with 2/7 of magma in rather than 1 square with 4/7, so it's quite safe for some more magma to be delivered. I'm now putting a floor over the second square for safety. Why is that elf thirsty? They're going to drink. Why is our mayor an elf? Really, that's a dangerous place to stand. So is that someone delivering this another batch of magma ready to be loaded? Yes. Probably, unless it's the empty minecart that accidentally got into the pipeline. No, that's full of magma. Right, we now have 3/7 of magma in each square, which means a total of 6/7, which means we can safely channel out another square. Meanwhile, how are things going down here? We don't actually have any minecarts ready to be refilled yet. Cages, zinc cages. That cage is now empty, so we can mark it for melting probably. No, we can't. We first have to detach it from the ground. Are those zinc? No, they're tin. And that's lead. And there is some green glass terraria. So what other cages do we have down here? Nickel, tin, and 1 zinc. Right, okay. Right, that zinc cage has now been detached. Mark it for melting. Do you have any other convenient objects made of zinc? Probably not any weapons or armour made of zinc. I mean, I kind of doubt that we've got any odd bits of zinc lying around, but you never know. So yes, 2 zinc cages are marked. No, okay, neither of them has actually been melted yet. That's weird. Surprising number of crowns. No one ever brings doors with them anyway. No zinc earrings. Any figurines? No, we're full of bone figurines and the occasional wooden one. Quite well off for tallow. Probably because it's being saved to make soap out of, but we don't actually need that much soap, and I should just check we haven't run out. You know, we've even got some parchment. We don't use parchment. So yeah, I think the only zinc we've got is those few cages. And let's put in a floor over that. Our dwarf who decided to bring a minecart up here without a wheelbarrow has finally made it, without like starving to death on the way. think we just dumped another load of magma in there, so that's now 332 for a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, which means we can safely dig out another square. At some point I will stop channeling out these squares. Essentially because we will actually have enough space to store enough magma for our purposes. Meanwhile, have we actually had any empty minecarts delivered down here yet? No. I think all our empty minecarts are ending up stacked up at the top here. Probably because people are busy getting the wheelbarrows up here. Still, this is getting more efficient. Right, maybe we've now got some zinc bars. Let's see. Yes, we have zinc bars. Right, how many zinc bars do you need to make a brass bar? We just need to get some copper. Right, okay. We've almost certainly got copper objects we can melt. I mean, do we really need 10 copper mail shirts? I don't think so. Especially large ones. Okay, that we need to see if any of these are unused. Let's just melt any unworn copper mail shirts. How many copper mail shirts do you have to melt to get an object out? To get a bar out? Melt. Mail shirt. You get 1.8 bars for each mail shirt you melt, so we'll need to melt 2 of them if we want to. 3 is an extravagance. I think. I can't remember how. No, we might need more. Let's melt a few. 3 will get me 2 bars out, so that should be fine. All right, so. We can lock that safely now. I think there may be there's an empty minecart being moved somewhere, and I should have it brought back to where it should be. I can find it. That one, I don't know. It's not either of the plus ones or the blank one then. I think the other one was full. Okay, maybe it's already up here and we don't need to worry. But we should put a floor over there before anyone falls in. I mean, dwarves in general don't fall down holes unless something causes them to move over the hole for some reason. Don't worry, you'll all be drowned in lava soon enough. Looks like we've moved more minecarts around. We can now turn on the track stop. set to max wheelbarrow 3. I think it may not actually have 3 wheelbarrows. Make a couple more wooden wheelbarrows just in case. Since we currently have access to the surface anyway, and there's plenty of wood kicking around up there. Looks like there's some forbidden items up here, so let's just make sure that everything on or near the surface is unforbidden. That's not magma, is it? No, it's blood. That's fine. Go on, you guys, deliver some more magma up here. Alright, you have done. There's enough room for another square to be channeled out. There is at least one minecart now in here. Let me start filling it. Right. Install the floor over that magma. Let's fill the last 2 squares in that corner of the graveyard. I bet there's some more teeth to be thrown away because our dwarves love collecting teeth. So like, there are skulls everywhere despite my best efforts. Excellent. Our moody dwarf is working on a secret construction of bones and jade and leather and limestone and chalk and native gold, ooh, and pigtail cloth and pomegranate wood. So, how is it going? Right, at least one minecart has been filled. Slightly worried that that's going to... Well, let's see what happens. I may be confused about which orientation this lever works in. Yeah, I'm not sure that's helpful. You can see the Forgotten Beast in the bottom edge of the screen, webbing, passing crundles. It looks like that's what's happening, yes. Is somewhat battered, this Forgotten Beast now. What do we now possess? 2 zinc bars and still no copper bars. And then these end up with like what I think must be hauling jobs attached to them, which is probably unhelpful. Right now we mostly need someone to operate that pump. Tempting to forbid those simply because those jobs really aren't of any use. So whoever's been assigned to operate that pump is clearly a long way away, assuming anyone is. Assuming I remember to turn it on. No, I didn't. Stowed. Right. Right, so we now have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 squares at 2 units of magma each, but we need to cover a total of 25 squares to a depth of at least 1 and preferably about 1.5. So we need more like 10 or 15 squares, 2 each, or rather more likely 5 squares at like about 4 or 5 each. So I think that means we don't actually need to dig out any more squares. Okay. Menaces with spikes of chalk, limestone, white jade and naked moldog bone. What? On the image, on the item is an image of a long four-sided prism in pigtail. So embroidered, presumably, or something, if you can embroider wood. Right, that's nice. Right, we now have zinc and copper in stock. So let us add a make brass bars job. Kind of unfortunate that we can't actually see that there's 7/7 of magma in that square, so I have to look at it carefully. If I'm not paying adequate attention, then I might go, oh, it's perfectly safe to unlock the door. No, it's not. There's magma behind it. You just can't see the magma. Oh yes, do we have any iron or steel to make more minecarts? 1 iron and no steel, right. I mean, we could melt down a couple more that means someone's done the brass bars. Right, we have 2 brass bars. How many brass bars do you need to make up? Whatever it was, make sure we know what it is. Make an armour stand. Is it 2 or 3? Bet it's 3. Furniture. Brass. Armour stand. Well, we can schedule the job. Yeah, there's no more. What's that cage made of? That's tin as well. If no one wants that shield, I might melt it down. Because, it's iron. There we go. Right. Do we actually have anyone who... I mean, we don't seem to have any specialist metal workers. Let's just grab a poet, as is traditional. And say, look, you just do all the metal smithing. I know you'll be bad at it, but you just want someone to do it. Right. Those random things there. There's a pile of teeth Look, just throw away all the teeth. You don't need teeth. There's now no magma flooding that area, so we can safely unlock that door and remove that minecart and stop pumping. Needs 3 brass bars, right. So that means we need... Oh, we apparently have a copper bar and a zinc bar kicking around. Excellent. Is anyone actually going to move that minecart anytime soon? I mean, I have unlocked the door, haven't I? Yes. Yes, right, they are good. So our magma moving is getting more efficient now. I think we probably need more minecarts, frankly. I'm going to keep going tonight, at least until we've actually sorted out this sodding armour stand. Once we've done that, then things will be better. So that minecart is empty and forbidden. We can unforbid it now. So let us lock the door. Pull the lever. Start the pump. Make pulling the lever a higher priority so that we don't find... someone will pull the lever. Right, we now have a brass armour stand. Let us work out who it is that wants it. It is Dacost, who wants it in her dining room. Well, there aren't many dining rooms in this place, so it won't take long to find her dining room. That's not her dining room. That's her dining room. So all we need to do is go build armour stand in the said dining room. Right. Here comes the armour stand. Let's check what our... Nothing dangerous out there at all, it's great. Right. And now her demand for a brass armour stand is satisfied. So that's nice. Meanwhile, it takes an alarmingly long time for this minecart to get moved. And there was that one occasion when we managed to get 2 minecarts in the square at the same time, and I don't quite know how that happened. It's a wild naked mole dog, let's dispose of it, because it keeps interrupting people. That bedroom looks like my one. Trousers and stuff all over the floor. We do have a slight problem that all of our crossbow bolts are in the wrong place and in bins which people can't understand, and so our Marks dwarves resort to bashing creatures with crossbows, which isn't quite appropriate but does work if everyone gangs up on it. Right, thank you. You've covered some poor soul's bedroom floor in naked mole dog blood. Right, so I think we want to dig out one more square there so that we can easily open a passage through without actually having to remove that track stop. Meanwhile, has that been moved yet? No, but I think someone's about to move it. I think we're now at the point where the rate limiting step in moving magma around is actually filling up the mine carts again, which is nice. I'm kind of astonished that we are still burying people. Oh yes, did that glass furnace get built? Excellent. Right, so what I want to do now is to set up a work order here for collect sand with conditions based on products. That's rather weird. Doesn't consider that collecting sand is a task that has reagents or products, so I'm going to have to do this by hand. Add item condition, amount of item type, sand. Oh. Hmm. I mean, I can set boxes and bags. It's a kind of powder. Change material. Really want to say any kind of sand. I'll have to carefully say black sand or red sand or sand or... because then we're going to have to say... ooh. Maybe I just say, oh, just keep collecting. That's going to be embarrassing as well. Actually, sod it. Let's do this by a slightly more silly route. Remove that condition. Add item condition. Item type bag. Traits. Oh. Ah. Maybe I actually want to say add a condition, item type, or rather traits. Sand items or sand bearing items? amount of sand items. Actually, could I do... is... is at most 5. So if we haven't got at least 5 sand kicking around, then we should try to collect sand. I wonder if that'll work. Let's just check what our stocks of sand are. Like, you know, this seems sensible. Where's it listed? It's listed under powders. Powder. So that says, though, that we have currently got 7 sand in stock. We have though some of them are on the surface, but presumably they're in bags anyway. Yes. So that suggests I found the wrong condition for that job. Let's try a different one. Right, that's better. Okay, maybe sand is a sand-bearing item, or a bag of sand is a sand-bearing item. I don't know. Right, so that should mean we don't collect any more sand yet because we don't actually need any. That square is currently full of an empty minecart and no magma, but someone is about to start pumping magma. Right. That's now full of magma and stoats. And the minecart is now full of magma. Oops. So now we drain it and then unlock the door. And there's this weird thing that it takes forever for that job to get queued, which is a pity. Still, objects keep moving around and I'm confused. I would like one of these necromancers to decide they want to stay permanently. That would be fun. Well, yes, indeed. Stay forever and ever because they're immortal. Well, at least until they get killed by the zombie rhinoceroses, which they won't, because, of course, being necromancers, the zombie rhinoceroses will recognise them as allies, kind of. More likely is that they'll fall into the magma. Why does it take so long for anyone to think that they should move that minecart? Plus, what are those random corpses doing? Well, if we're not going to bury them or butcher them, Admittedly, there is a butcher and animal job going on there at the moment, so maybe we will butcher them. Well, who cares? Yes, Jacob, you may be right, actually. Maybe the problem is that room is rather warm. And so the dwarves may not actually be willing to schedule picking up that minecart until the room has cooled down to the point where it's safe to go in there. So yes, it is actually possible that the problem was that the room, having been flooded with magma recently, does actually limit when dwarves are willing to enter it. They're not actually waiting for the magma to cool down, but they're waiting for the room to cool down. That seems entirely believable. It's an interesting thought. What if we could flood the room with water afterwards? Like, I don't think that would be helpful. It'd certainly not be easy to organise. Yeah, there would be a steam issue. So yes, I think we mostly here have we're now rate limited, yes, and obsidian. We're now rate limited by how fast the loading area cools down, and by the awkward feature that it tends to end up with only one minecart. Let's see, now we've got two. Why have we got two now? Eh? I don't quite understand how the number of minecarts down there varies. What are you going to do? You're moving an object around. I'm afraid we can't manufacture a long hook for hauling the minecart out. I mean, there are other things we could do, but they're mostly quite complicated. Like, we could try to organise things so that we remove the minecart by pushing another minecart in. But, like, I can't help feeling that free-running magma-filled minecarts are a recipe for entertainment. We're still waiting for someone to operate the upper pump. Yes. Right, I'm not going to make that reservoir any bigger because it's now made out of 6 squares, and if we fill 6 squares up to a depth of 6, then that's well over 25 units of magma. Oh, but they're not all going to drain, are they? Hang on, let me do some more sums. Our limit is 50 units. Actually, we don't really have a limit because the magma will leak out anyway through the through here and just end up flooding that trench. And like that will be slightly confusing, but not actually a serious problem. So the minimum we want, if we say we're targeting getting 50 units of magma out, we can get 6 units out of each square because they won't drain below 1. So that means we want, like, not quite. That means we want not quite 10 squares. So 6 is nowhere near, like, excessive, actually. So let's make ourselves some more magma storage space. Right, magma has been drained. Oops. Now once the room is cool enough. Unfortunately we don't have a like God's thermometer for checking what temperature a room is at. Right, so yes. We do have rather a lot of caged wild animals that I should find a better use for. Oh well. Right. So you could dig out that square as well. That would not... It feels like once I reach the point where I actually have to start moving things on other floors in order to be able to make space, I probably should stop digging. Actually, is it safe to dig that out yet? Do I need... Yes, it is. Essential that I not let the magma level drop below 2 in there. Dum-de-dum-de-dum. Nothing's going downstairs. Right, someone is coming down to move those out of the way. No, not that elf who is coming down to fetch the wheelbarrow. Right. Let's put a floor in there. Then the next one, if I wanted to cut it out, wanted to dig round further, would be here, which would let the magma into this corridor unless I start actually putting effort into stopping that, and let's maybe not do that yet. I think that'll give us enough magma storage then. No one's yet shifted that, have they? No. Here come a couple of people though. I suspect they're coming down to move those 2 mine carts. And then we can... No, don't move that mine cart. That mine cart's empty. I think. Yes. Stop it. Okay, worse than moving that minecart would be... Right, let's lock the door while we can. It doesn't really matter if they move an empty mine... Oh. Okay, maybe they have actually moved the correct set of minecarts. I mean, I don't really mind if they move, if an empty one wanders around the entire cycle. So yes, I think I'm not going to reach the point of actually being able to flood the pit with magma today, but we have at least got the magma shifting procedure reasonably well organised now. And yes, we've made a brass armour stand despite starting the day without any zinc bars or indeed copper bars at all. And we're clearing rubbish from the surface at a prodigious rate. We've buried so many people who hadn't been buried before. We've dropped so many teeth in this pit, and then we're planning to set fire to them all again. And people keep getting into fights with naked mole dogs. So yes, it's kind of progress. And we haven't run out of food, and no one has tantrumed, and we've got more artifacts. Jacob says, I'm unclear how you are extending this magma reservoir. So let me try to explain. So this is, here we're on the floor, on the highest subterranean floor of the fortress. So this is the surface, one floor down, we are at on the highest subterranean floor. And this is where we're collecting minecarts in this furniture stockpile, and they dump the magma here through this green glass floor grate into the next Z level down, which is where the magma reservoir is. So to expand the magma reservoir, all that I do is I dig a hole in the floor from up here, which clears out one Z level below it. So if I were to, I mean, it's a bit difficult, but actually, if I were to dig a hole here, that would cause, by channeling a hole in the floor here, that would cause an empty square to appear here, which would then fill with magma, which would flood from the next square to the square to its south. I'm not going to do that because that's part of a stockpile, and I'm not sure if it will work properly. And then I've been putting floors on top of them so that no dwarves fall in. And so far, no dwarves have fallen in the magma. We are currently at 0 fatalities due to people falling in the magma. Indeed, I think 0 dwarf fatalities entirely due to magma, which is better than most of the objects in this fortress. So yes, that's how I've been carving these out. But I think we've dug enough magma reservoir now, so we mostly just need to wait for the dwarves to move. Yes, compared to the rate at which we've lost people in the pit due to them getting dragged down into the pit by other undead creatures. Our rate of losing people to magma is really quite good. So it's faffing around trying to work out where my cursor is. So we still have a bit of a weird problem with filling this thing up with minecarts, because they drop into place at inopportune moments. So I might see if I can think of a better way to do this, but that may involve extending this entire structure several floors higher into a complicated vertical minecart transporter. Yes, that's Jacob, that's fine. That's more or less what it means, how it works. We must assume that dwarves, when channeling a square, start in the middle of the square and work outwards. And yeah, there is totally nothing to stop a dwarf standing on top of that floor grate and getting incinerated. That is surely going to happen sometime soon. So yes, this is now filling up. We need to be a little bit careful because we don't really want that to overflow, and there's not much to stop it overflowing if it feels like overflowing. But we will see. Also, it's worth noting that magma floods fairly slowly, so digging out squares is it's not actually as dangerous as dealing with water in some respects, because it moves more slowly than water. We actually have no empty minecarts waiting at the moment. Seb asks, why are you making a magma pit? Kind of complicated. Essentially, at the moment, it's unsafe for... It's difficult and or unsafe for us to do any work to make our disposal pit work better. And as we have seen, it has the slight problem that if you throw dwarves into it, they tend to drag the dwarf that was throwing them in with them. So I think we can improve on how the pit works by making making two changes to it. One is to put the trapdoor one level further down, and the other is to line it with solid rock. Solid rock is natural smoothed rock is unclimbable, or rather smoothed solid rock is unclimbable, and 2Z levels would mean that anything you threw in would therefore not be able to stand on the trapdoor if it was closed and drag you down after it. But to do this, we need to be able to get into the pit in order to construct extra things below where we're currently working, and that requires that there not be lots of undead things writhing around down there scaring the dwarves off. So the idea is that we flood the place with magma in order to kill everything that's down there, in order that we can then safely send some work dwarves in to redesign things. Also, I said I wanted smooth solid rock walls, but that's rather hard to achieve on a layer that isn't made of rock but is instead made of sand, unless of course we can cast some obsidian in there. So my secondary aim here is to use magma to cast a layer of obsidian to make a nice smooth obsidian shaft that we hurl people down, or that we hurl undead things down. That's the plan. That's why that's why I'm making this pit full of magma. I do have other uses for the magma up here. One of them is that there's a bunch of... This is not very much stuff. There is a small pile of actually practically worthless stuff in the river, and it would be nice to be able to clear it out. I thought there was a corpse down there, but I think the corpse may have come back to life. And we could do that. Oh, there's this spectacular pile of cruft, including a few corpses and such like that might want burying, but they're in the river, and rivers are awkward. But we could dam the river with obsidian by hauling magma all the way up to the surface and dumping it in. So that's something we might want to do as well. But that's an even more advanced thing, and will come after we've got ourselves, for instance, a working magma kiln, which in turn will come after we've cleared the pit out. Though I have just realised a problem which I should correct, which is that at the moment, if the pit floods particularly badly, the magma will come out here and flood all of our stocks of crossbow bolts, and that would be kind of unfortunate. So what I'm going to do is to undesignate that as a crossbow bolt stockpile for now, and designate a new ammo stockpile in here. So that will, and unlock the doors temporarily. So all being well, that will then allow us to allow some dwarves to remove some of those crossbow bolts, which might reduce our excessive, reduce the danger of accidentally immolating our entire stock of crossbow bolts, which would be kind of embarrassing. Why are there 2 empty minecarts in that stockpile? That's unfortunate. Yes, indeed, our stock of masterwork crossbow bolts, which might be embarrassing in its own right. Anyway, I think it is time to stop for the night. We have made some progress, and very few people are on fire. And there's still a decided shortage of undead horrors out there. We do appear to have a caged cat skeleton, which is amusing. Right. So, of course, now that I've unlocked that door, everyone's going down there to practice their archery again. Which is fine. So, yes, we will stop here and come back on Sunday and probably finish filling this reservoir with magma. Maybe invent a better way to get a complicated vertical minecart transporter working, and maybe do something more interesting. So please, if you are so inclined, like and subscribe, and I would say leave a comment, but I've disabled comments because otherwise I'd have to deal with comments. And good night. There's the good night button. I've lost my good night button. There it is. Good night.